Welcome to this Trends in Dairy and Dairy Alternatives webinar, together with Coloring Foods and RSSL. Today you will be learning about the go-to platform for ingredients and innovation. RSSL, we talk about ingredients, trends in dairy and dairy alternatives. Then Michael from Colourfood will talk about coloring foods in the various dairy applications. And after that, we will, of course, have a question and answer session. So please drop your questions in the Q&A box on the left-hand side. And we will also explain you at the end of this webinar how you can obtain a free set of coloring food samples. Want to Taste, we are your host today. We are the go-to platform for ingredients and innovation. We have roughly over, in the meantime, I think 1,400 ingredients, and we are adding new ingredients day by day, week by week. What's really distinguishes us from other parties out there is that we are transparent, we are quick, we do quick sampling, we have honest prices, and have a very fair and straightforward approach. We have technical people who can support you, but also a wide network of really highly valued supply and service partners who also can be of your assistance. When you're looking for ingredients, you can find them in Want to Taste, quite easy findable. You can easily select them. And when you have selected the ingredients you need, either samples or commercial quantities, it also allows you to then order them quite easy, straightforward, like you're being on Amazon, for example. And not only that, we also have a very low MLQ, so you're not obliged to buy full pallet loads. We just start with small quantities, and we can, of course, scale up when you are scaling up, and support you through the whole journey from all the way from ideation all the way to the final testing, and then of course the so-called product launch. Today we are talking with some trusted supply partners. The agenda today is that we will be talking about the trends in dairy. It's being brought to you by Carol Bingley from RSSL. Then we head over to Michael from Colourfood Professional, who will guide you through some applications with regards to coloring food in the various dairy applications. Of course, we at Want to Taste have much more trusted supply partners. An overview you can see here, and even this one is not complete. There are even more supply partners and service partners we currently have at wanttotaste.com. If you have any questions, we at Want to Taste are looking forward to support you with ingredients, with ideas, also with regards to innovation funnels. Please feel free to contact us with either small or big questions. We're always happy to support you. You find my contact details here as well, my phone number as well as my email address. So please feel free to reach out, and we support you. And a video of this webinar will be available made afterwards to all attendees, so you can easily read it back if you wish. Okay, then it leaves me to introduce Carol Bingley from RSSL. Carol, up to you. Please take over. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Trends in dairy and dairy alternatives. So I'd like to give a very brief introduction to RSSL, talk about some of the recent innovations in dairy products, and then look at similar in dairy alternatives, and just touch on precision fermentation. So RSSL is a contract research organisation based in Reading in the UK, and we have a team of scientists covering a broad range of different disciplines to be able to support the food industry with projects all the way from concept through to launch and post-launch. I work in the research and development team here at RSSL, and our expertise is shown there on the slide. So we carry out development of products, as I say, right from concept and through the development cycle. We can also use our analytical capabilities to look at the flavour and the physical and structural character of the products. We can support with ingredient analysis and help to substantiate any claims that people want to make on pack. If you're looking at a new ingredient and you need to develop an analytical method to be able to detect that ingredient in a food product, we can support with that. We also have a regulatory consultancy service, and we support particularly with novel foods approval, so looking at bringing new ingredients to the market, and then we carry out shelf life and stability studies on behalf of our clients. So to start with today, I just want to take a look at the market. So particularly focusing on milk and milk alternatives. And you can see despite the growth in milk alternatives over the past 5-6 years, milk, dairy milk still dominates. And if you look at the other products within the dairy sector, the alternatives will be even a much smaller proportion of the overall market. So milk is still very much the driver here, but the dairy industry is facing a number of challenges, not only related to the move towards alternatives, but also within commodities and the subsidies that they're paid. So we will, I think, continue to see those small green bars continuing to grow in the years to come. So I've just picked out a few interesting products that I've seen on the market. So we've got a couple of products which are addressing nutritional profile of dairy products. So we've got an ultra-filtrated milk where the sugar's been removed, and then another milk product where it's been fortified so that the protein content is even higher. We know that dairy is very strongly associated with protein, but this product really enforces that. Another area which I think is particularly interesting is this blending of dairy with plant-based. So a dairy and almond milk product, where the two are blended. So bringing them some of the taste and texture that you associate with dairy, but the health credentials that some consumers are looking for associated with the plant-based milk alternatives. And also a chickpea and cheese spread. So again, looking to sort of bring in some of those health credentials associated with plant-based ingredients. And then finally, a different way of eating dairy, a more on-the-go type product. So this is a yogurt bar, and it contains kefir cultures, and it's actually sold through the refrigerator, but you can take that and eat on the go. Dairy products have traditionally been quite strongly associated with immune support, and we're seeing a lot of products really building on that given the COVID situation over the past couple of years. So using a dairy base and then either bringing in cultures, prebiotic cultures, probiotic cultures, sorry, and adding prebiotic fibers, or adding vitamins to be able to allow an immune claim on pack. And then a couple of interesting products from outside of Europe. So we've got a milk product there from Vietnam, and this contains a bird's nest extract, which is claimed to support immunity and strong bones. And then golden milk, which is being sold in India, and this contains turmeric extract and holy basil extract, and they claim that helps to boost immunity. If we move on to the milk alternative sector, when I first started working in this area many years ago, it was really soya was the only option if you didn't want to consume or were unable to consume dairy milk. Now, as you can see from the slide, there's a huge range of different options in terms of the base ingredient used to make that milk alternative. So we've got a number of nut-based products. Oats are obviously very popular. Pea, fairly new to the market, but growing. And we even saw a potato based milk alternative being launched last year. And this slide looks at which are the most popular ingredients in new launches in Europe. So you can see that the yellow line at the bottom is soya protein. So really not being used very widely at all in new product development. The big success stories are almonds and oats, and you can just see that year on year, those two are continuing to grow. And as I mentioned, pea we've seen come onto the market, and we are seeing that grow slowly in terms of new products. But moving on past milk alternatives, for every dairy product that's available, you will be able to find a plant-based alternative now. So there's a full range in the supermarkets offering plant-based alternatives to meet every need and every dietary requirement. One area we've seen quite a bit of growth in the last year or so is in the cheese alternative space, and we've seen a number of big brands branching out into plant-based and vegan. And you can see there Philadelphia, Boursin, Baby Bell, all launching plant-based cheese alternatives. And another area we're seeing is broadening the types of cheese that are available. So this product here is an alternative to camembert, and actually has the mold ripened outside, and then a sort of creamy, soft interior, similar to camembert. And then just moving on to precision fermentation. So precision fermentation is taking microorganisms, fermenting those to produce specific proteins. So in this example, it's milk proteins, but this technology is being used to produce a wide range of different proteins across the industry. And those proteins can then be taken and formulated into final products. And the obviously the thinking behind this is that you'll get a much closer nutritional profile, and also hopefully mimic the taste and texture of the products more closely, because that, obviously that's a big driver for people buying the dairy products. So company in the US called Perfect Day have managed to get a couple of products to market using their non-animal whey protein that they've developed through precision fermentation. So you can see that there's an ice cream product there that's been formulated with this protein, and also a milk product containing the protein. It's not as simple as just taking the protein and diluting that into milk. The product has to be formulated in the way that many of these plant-based products are formulated. So we still have a fairly long ingredient list associated with the precision fermentation produced proteins, in the way that we do see with a number of the plant-based products. The other watch out for this technology is that because the proteins that are produced are essentially identical to those found in dairy products, you need to put an allergen warning on pack. And so you can see that for the ice cream products, they have an allergen warning stating contains milk protein. So this may be a little bit confusing for consumers, and particularly for those consumers that are avoiding milk protein, either because they have an allergy or because they're following a vegan diet. It can be a little bit surprising for them, I think, to see this warning on pack. So that's just something we'll have to see how that develops, and how consumers can be educated in that manner. So just to summarize, dairy still dominates the market, but there's been huge growth in the dairy alternative sector, and we see a lot of innovation and new products coming to market. On the dairy side, many of the new products are focusing on accentuating the positive. So as I said, building on this association with immunity, for example, and removing some of the barriers to consumption. One of the big challenges for dairy alternatives is to really deliver on taste and on the nutrition side, because dairy products are usually a very good source of protein and a number of micronutrients as well. So being able to match up both on the expected taste and texture, but also deliver nutritionally is really important when developing in this space. And precision fermentation, I think, is really exciting, and I think it could revolutionize the types of products that we see coming to market, and particularly in the cheese area, where we've seen it is very challenging, particularly to include protein into the cheese alternatives and still achieve the expected texture and the melting characteristics of those products. So thank you for listening, and if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them later on, or please get in touch. Thank you.
Carol, thank you so much. Already questions are coming in, so you really touched on some interesting points, and I'm pretty sure we're going to have a very interesting Q&A session afterwards. Michael, over to you, please.
Yes. So do you hear me and see my presentation?
Sorry, we can hear you, but do not see your presentation yet.
Let's see. Go. Now better?
It's building up. Yeah, here it is.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you actually for inviting me to this webinar. Yeah, today we talk about a little bit about food coloring foods, where we come from Colourfood Professional, basically. My name is Michael. I'm from Colourfood Professional, like I said, from the company Betek. Yeah, I want to give you a little bit of an overview for the presentation for today. I want to talk a bit who we are as a company really quick. So in general, how does products get colorful? About the product range, for example, we provide, and then applications, and then later on, like Jan already said, we have an FAQ session. So I want to start with who we are. Our company called Betek, we're located in the Netherlands, originally coming from the Aachen, so it's German Netherlands border, basically. We have two brands, Colourfood Professional, it's a B2B brand, and Eat a Rainbow, which is basically end consumer brands. Our business is a family business with over 40 years of experience in this field, in developing and producing coloring foods. So we basically have really high standards. So we have own fields, so our products come really from the field into the bottle, and they're like industrial food standards what we use for. So how does it get colorful in general if you use colors for your products? In general, they're like, which is really common still, artificial food colors. So basically those are colors who are like synthetic products. There are declaration required. So in general, they're getting more and more banned from the European Union, for example, as well as products like natural food colors. So those are products who are basically have a natural raw material source, but they get further processed. So later on, there is a artificial color as well. So those two colors, basically what you have in general into your products, or maybe you still use them. So I want to take a little bit of a look at the natural food colors, because those products sounds great. So we basically have like a natural raw material. That's why they're called natural food colors. But later on, they get actually, you know, they have a full process of different process steps. So solvent, for example, aluminum, glycerine, etc., etc. And then later on, you get a common red. So the jump basically from the raw material side to the artificial color, it's quite big. And the question is basically, are natural or not natural food colors basically what would you consider as a natural product? So for example, for this dye, Carmen Red, you use around 100,000 of those nice insects and you get those products out of it. So this is a point where more and more consumers are getting aware of what is basically inside the products, what we're going to use. So the point is that those products basically need to be declarated. So they need to be recognized, declared as an additive. As well, those products need an E number. So even like some of the AZO colors, the artificial colors, need to have additional warning like may impact activities and attention in children. You probably have heard them, or you have to even use them. So the question is, if you want to have those kind of descriptions on your product in the back. So because the point is basically you don't need those in general anymore, because there are great solutions, and those are like plant-based alternatives, like coloring foods in general. So those colors are basically made from fruit, vegetables, and edible plants. So there's no declaration required at all. So if you want to take a little short cut into the production side, so basically they're seriously coming from the field. It's the full-time natural, like a food product. Basically, it's just physical processes on water while using them, so to get out a like really intense coloring foods. And the good thing about coloring foods is basically that they're completely 100% clean label in your application. So you don't need any numbers, and you basically put in the ingredients list what it is. So it's basically just the food ingredients, like for example, a concentrate of paprika and carrot. So it's a really nice way actually to color your products and don't need to have any additives in your product. I want to give you now a little short overview or just talk. Basically, it's like the 3 different steps. So we have the azo dyes, for example. So you need to it's an additive plus an E number and an additional warning. Then we have all the natural food colors. So those basically need to have an additive and an E number as well. And then you have the coloring foods, where basically it's just what it is. It's a natural food source. Give you a little bit of overview of the products we provide you, or what you can actually use in general for coloring foods. We have, for example, 7 different colors. So you have like a full range of different powder products, and you can mix them. It's like a big spectrum of the colors. We have 2 different packaging sizes. You get in small and bigger units, so they're really handy in your production facilities. The great thing about the powders is they're fat suitable powders, so you can even use them in like oils or like really high buttercreams, etc., etc. So it's really like a high-tech product. Of course, they have a really long shelf life because it's a powder. And then take a look at the liquids. It's pretty much the same standard 7 different great colors, really intense colors, but in 3 different sizes, whatever you actually prefer to use in your production facilities, from small to even big. Really easy to handle because it's a liquid, just put it into your product. They're basically water-based. The liquids, like I said, the powders are fat-based and fat-suitable. And then you can even do like cool possible swirl effects, when I'm going to show you later, for example, in ice creams, if you're going to use them. So now we take a look at some of the applications. I want to just show you in general, or see here some really cool pink we actually used. But first, I want to give you an overview. What do you need to consider when you're using coloring foods? Because basically, it is a food product. It is a natural food source. So there's some things you need to consider to get amazing results out of it. So first of all, it's pH dependency. So you're probably aware of pH levels in different products. It's really interesting at dairy products. Milk has a really high pH level. So, for example, some of the red products in general at food coloring foods have anthocyane, and anthocyane really reacts on the pH level. So, I'll give you a little bit of an example here of a drink. Basically, we use some cherry red in this drink as a base, and it's red, it's nice red. So now we put some tonic water inside, where you can actually drop the pH level. So when it turns into a more red. So you can see really the difference actually between a violet to a red. So the range is actually pretty big at some of the red and the violet parts. Second of all, what you need to consider, it's heat stability. So basically, the blue, it's we made it out of spirulina, which is a protein. So proteins at a higher temperature level, you kind of fade out the colors, so you're kind of aware of it. The same with the green, because basically green is just a mix of blue and yellow. So it is not important in general for what we're talking today here, but for example, if you do like green buns, I always recommend to mix a blue and a yellow to create your own green. So if you do a bit more blue, you get amazing green, even colors out of like really heat intense products. Third of all, you can mix the colors. So for example, if you can mix your own green, like I just said, you can mix your own orange. So you can create a huge range of different colors. This is like just in general how colors work. And third of all, first of all, of course, you want to use a liquid or a powder, which depends of the product you're going to produce or going to use for. So now we take a look at some of the applications. I wanted to start first with the buttercream and frosting, because it's kind of interesting to give you I want to go step by step through the process how you actually use coloring foods in your product. Well, in general, of course, what kind of products do you have? Is it fat-based? So you need a fat-suitable product like the powder, or is it not? You can just use, for example, in ice cream, you can use just because like if the, I mean, I talk about fat-suitable or products with a fat inside or oil, like a higher level of oil. So in milk or like in general buttercreams, you can still use the liquid. But for example, here at buttercream frosting, we just use the powder. To give you an example here, we kind of put it in oil to make like a nice gel out of it. Second, page level, I just said, what's this page level of your product? And then third of all, the fine tuning basically means the dosage. So you can really depend how much you put inside into your product, how intense the product will get, or what kind of color actually you would like to have. Like here we mixed it on orange. So, and here give you a little bit of overview what is actually possible with coloring foods. So it's really amazing. You can get like really light colors or really intense colors. You can get different green shades. So I think it's actually really nice, and here you see the percentage. So you don't even need a lot in general. It's really low to get great results out of it. Next of all, yeah, I want to take a look at the ice creams, of course, a big topic. Like here, like I said earlier, swirl effects, good, cool swirl effects out of it. So those are basically pictures made out of a product. So really intense. It's really amazing how they work. Like here, another picture, like purple, nice orange, nice red. So just clean product, put it into your product and get nice results out of it. Yeah, Smurf ice cream, big thing, even in Germany, because in general, in the past, there had a lot of artificial colors inside. So you don't really need that anymore, because you can make your own Smurf ice cream and get a really nice blue tone of it, where every parent is happy that the children don't eat any artificial colors anymore. So really simple, but great solutions out of it. Yogurt and drinks, of course. So drinks like yogurt drinks or just yogurt, really easy, really great to color, like you see here. Great range of products. Don't need to explain you quite more about that, how it works. Works great. For example, coffee, like whipped creams, you can even color whipped creams. On the left-hand side, we colored the milk basically. On the right-hand side, the whipped cream. It's really nice too, you know, if you do want to do it like even like in front of your customers, for example. And yeah, so those basically some of the applications you're able to do. Just give you a little range of the colors, and then give you a bit of an overview here. So what are actually coloring foods? So they're vegan products, you know, they're just made of fruit and vegetables. No declaration required, 100% clean label on your product. It's great. Just be aware a bit of the heat and the pH level, but it's quite simple basically, and then you get great results out of it. So yeah, my name is Michael from Colourfood Professional. If you have any questions, just give me a call or just write me an email. And now I hand over to Jan-Hein regarding samples and the Q&A sessions.
Michael, thank you so much for your presentation. For some very interesting products, especially the Smurf-like ice cream. Personally, I don't like the color, but it's really nice. And what always scares me is the taste of it, but that of course you can determine totally yourself. Before we go into the questions, I talked about free samples. All attendees will get, if you wish, a free set of 14 powdered samples. As you have seen, there are 7 colors, so you get 2 samples sachets per color. No cost involved. That's a gift from us here. Just send us your address details by email, either to Michael, to myself, and we will then, after the deadline, which is June 30th of this year, we will ship out the sample sets to your attention at the provided address. So if you wish them, don't wait too long. Just send us the overview and with your address details, and we will ship them. Questions. Carol, you were talking about the expectations in the future, also about vegetable compared to dairy products. Let's put it that way. We saw figures until 2021. What would you expect in the next 5 years? You mentioned it's growing, but when I looked correctly, the pace of growing for both was more or less the same in absolute value, smaller in of course in percentage for the dairy application. But yeah, what's your view on the future?
I think we will continue to see growth in the plant-based alternatives, but I feel that we probably do need a breakthrough to reach those consumers who really do love the taste of dairy, and that's the biggest hurdle for them, is to move away from dairy. So potentially the precision fermentation coming through may offer products to those consumers that meet their expectations. I think, we've got plenty of consumers who a number of people actually now prefer the taste of, for example, an oat-based milk alternative. They've got very used to that. That's where they want to go. But we've obviously got a majority of dairy lovers, and it's going to be hard to tempt them away and to substitute dairy with an alternative. So I think if we can get products that are closer match, that's going to be the way to break that.
Okay, because plant-based is of course hot, and a lot of companies are working on plant-based. But what I also found very interesting is the hybrid products. So the combination that's already finding its space as well. How do you see that?
Yeah, I think that's really interesting, and I think that that overcomes part of this reluctance to try the plant-based, because you're still feeling quite comfortable because you're expecting to get some of those familiar flavors. And we've seen this in the meat area as well, because people necessarily don't have to give up dairy, but maybe it's all about reducing intake, and by having these blended products, that enables them to be able to do that. So yeah, I think that's really interesting. I think a few years ago it would have been quite confusing, because people were either vegan or they consume dairy, and now we've got these a growing set of consumers who are in the sort of intersection between those two groups, and are more willing to look for these products where they're offering the best of both worlds.
Okay, great, thank you. Michael, a question for yourself. There's a question here about mixing. You explained about mixing, you can create your own colors. But when I would like to mix the powder, which is oil soluble, and the liquid phase, that's to say the water-based liquid colors, mixing powder and liquid, is that feasible as well?
Yeah, you could do that, but it doesn't make any sense in general. You can mix, like, it's probably more convenience if you mix like the liquids by themselves and the powder, because you really have to start about the application part, So you're going to use the powder, for example, if you have fat suitable products, or you want a product with a really long shelf life in your storage. But or for example, if you use a product where you don't want to have a lot of liquid inside, for example, macarons, where you don't want to have the liquid inside. But otherwise, that's why you probably stick with one type of product at the beginning anyway, you know what I mean? And then you probably wouldn't mix it. You can do it, yes, but it wouldn't, like I said, you probably stick with powder or liquid then.
Okay. And actually, here's a compliment for you. People are saying the packaging size you're offering is quite small, which is a big advantage, is mentioned here, in the usage in production, because compared to a 25-liter can, the size of your packaging is much more convenient.
Well, thank you very much. Well, this is the whole point of it, to be honest. This is really the thing that we really thought about what is convenient, what is handy in your production facilities. Even like, let's say if you have like more like unqualified workers, you know, you can really use one bottle for one production, you know, charge or production, you know, amount what you produce. So thank you. Yeah, it's really, really handy.
And another one for you, Michael. The effects of colors on ice cream, does it really affect the melting behavior, or does it have any other effects which you should take into account when you're using coloring foods?
Well, it depends a bit about the dosage. For if you do ice cream, for example, if you do ice cream, how do I say that correctly in English? If you use a lot of like fluffiness, you know, if you put a lot of air bubbles into your product, you would need to have a high dosage because through all the air you put into your product, you have a bigger surface. So the surface of your whole product gets bigger, and that's why it get a more lighter result in the color. So you have a high dosage, but otherwise it wouldn't have any effect at all.
Okay, so you're saying if you have a lot of air, you should increase the dosage because to get the same
Right.
color.
Correct. So it really depends on your how you produce your ice cream.
Okay, and here is one for one question of you, Carol, and it's talking about the precision fermentation. You were making a note that it still needs to be labeled as contains milk protein, because when I looked at the label, there was no milk protein in there coming from milk, but due to the fact that the protein is the same as derived from milk, it should be labeled like that.
That's correct. So anyone who does suffer from an allergy to dairy protein is equally likely to be allergic to a protein that's being produced by precision fermentation. So yeah, that's one drawback of using that technology, I think, is
yeah, precision fermentation was, I think it's highly interesting, but it maybe takes too far to go in depth on that one. There was a question about pH, but I think you, in the meantime, already answered that, Michael. When you're talking about temperature, within dairy drinks, pasteurization, of course, is a well-known processing step. Would fermentation have an influence on the colors already, or is only sterilization an issue?
It really depends on the time and of the temperature, but in general, I wouldn't say it wouldn't have a big of an effect in this product. So it would work in general. Like I said earlier, it's in general always like blue and green, like blue even more than green. So if you would have kind of an issue with the blue, use a higher dosage, and then it would work as well.
Okay. I think that's around the questions we have. Let's see again here. Yeah, here's another question about with regards to fermentation of vegan semi-hard cheese compared to regular cheese. Is there any successes booked in that area? I think, Carol, that's one for you.
So not sure whether this refers to the fermentation, precision fermentation, or not, but I haven't. But I know that there's a number of companies, many of them based in the US, who are really focusing on precision fermentation and cheese. So I showed Perfect Day on the slides because they are the first company to get some products to market. But I suspect cheese will be the next product to come to market, probably in the US again, and hopefully we'll see it coming over to Europe in the next few years.
Okay. Then one question from my side, actually. I noticed a new logo with you guys from RSSL.
Yes.
Here we still have the old logo on the screen, but in your presentation, and I think there was an announcement today
That's right. We've launched our new brand today.
Is there
So
anything you can
we've got the
share
first
about
people
that?
to see the presentation on the new branding.
Congratulations! Awesome.
Well,
Yeah, I know a lot of work has gone into it. So
this
yeah,
is the first official presentation with the new logo going out there.
yeah.
Well done. Okay, I think that brings us to the end of this webinar. Again, don't forget to forward your email address if you want to have that free set of samples. If you have any questions, our contact details have been shared in this presentation. You will also see that on the video feed later on. We would be happy to answer all your questions and support you in all the projects and processes to come. Thank you so much for your attention, and looking forward to meet again. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Big thanks to Carol and Michael.
Thank you very much, Anna. Bye-bye.